Okay, folks, we got the cue that we can get going here. Welcome. You know, the espnW Summit Canada just serves up so many special moments. This seems to be a bit of an extra special one, and like you, I'm really excited to get into the conversation and then to get making. So welcome to our session, Legacy in Motion, Strategic Levers for Women's Sport Progress. My name is Alison Sandmeyer-Graves. I'm the CEO of Canadian Women in Sport. Our organization has been around for more than 4 decades, really as the voice and authority advancing the women's sport movement here in Canada. And I got to tell you, my 9 years with the organization have been such a wild ride. There's been so much progress, so many opportunities, and this conference, gathering, event, has been such a bright spot in bringing together so many like-minded people who are equally committed to this movement. It's not a cause, it's a movement. We heard a lot this morning, in particular, about both the professional space and the grassroots and the linkages between them. The ecosystem of women's sport includes all of these different components. They all need to be working together in order for us to reach the highest heights that we can for women and girls in sport in this country. And that requires intention. We heard that word from the stage as well. The pro space needs investment, needs resources, needs development, and so does the grassroots, and as do the linkages between them. So we're going to have a really quick conversation about this once I introduce our special guest, who I'm sure nobody has ever heard of before. And then we're going to have some table conversations, and you get to have a conversation with the folks that you're sitting with while you're being creative, while you're innovating. We can think about innovate for women's sport as well. Okay. Is my mic cutting in and out? Okay, it's not just me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah. So, how special is this to have Christine Sinclair sitting here with us today in this intimate setting?
Thank you.
Christine's accolades are known to so many of us, but Christine, you're also in a moment of transition and career transition.
It's nice.
So let's just recap where we're coming from and where we're at right now. So Christine is the all-time leading goal scorer in international soccer with 190 goals and counting. Still working on that?
No, I'm done. Oh, I'm so done.
A generational talent and the face of Canadian soccer. She's led Canada through 6 World Cups and 5 Olympic Games. So those are spaced 4 years apart. That's a lot of years.
A very long time.
Yeah. Earning 2 bronzes and a historic gold in Tokyo 2020. Captain of the Portland Thorns since 2013. She's a 14-time Canadian Player of the Year and a 7-time FIFA World Player nominee. I feel like they really missed the opportunities there. Beyond the pitch, Sink is a champion for gender equity, author of the memoir Playing the Long Game, which if you haven't read, I highly recommend, and now a co-owner of Vancouver Rise FC, helping launch Canada's first pro women's league. Her legacy is one of goals, grit, and game-changing leadership, which became a rallying cry for the creation of a professional women's soccer league in Canada. Your legacy is still unfolding. I mean, You're not that old. Old for a soccer player? Yes, okay, yeah. We can admit that. Now, not only as one of the greatest soccer players in history, but as a change maker creating lasting impact for generations to come. In other words, you're just getting started.
Yeah. Let's go.
Legacy in motion.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Christine, you've often spoken about the role that community and youth sport played in your early development. You can't get to where you are without playing on some local pitches.
Oh, yeah.
Looking back, how did those grassroots experiences shape not just your career, but your vision for what's possible in women's professional sport today?
Ooh, that's a lot to unpack there. So I started playing when I was 4, and My parents coached me. I was back in Burnaby, and I was signed up for a U7 team because when I was growing up, there weren't like little tyke soccer teams to play on. And I played all sports growing up, played on boys teams. But I literally just played the sport because I loved it. I wasn't playing to reach national teams or playing professional because I didn't know those existed. As a kid, I was convinced I was going to be the first female to play on the Toronto Blue Jays because when I turned on the TV, that's what I saw. And I wore number 12 because of Roberto Alomar. I'm a firm believer that, you know, you got to see it to believe it. And that's what all I could see as a little kid. So now, fast forward to, you know, the launch of the NSL, I mean, playing pro in the U.S., and it's those moments that you can create for those little kids. And it's about inspiring the next generation and giving, especially young girls, giving them a different dream than what I had as a kid. And that's what has motivated me for so long. Of course, winning, and you want to make Canada proud, and you want to bring championships to your club team. But ultimately, it's about the kids in the stands and, you know, inspiring them and giving them like more and better options, you know, to pursue their dreams.
Quick follow-up question. So as visible as you were and as the national team was, particularly in recent years, there's something different about playing club where you're playing consistently in a market with a fan base that can access you, watch you, celebrate you, interact with you. What's the difference that you saw the club fan base and like what you feel you were able to do in terms of connecting with those young athletes compared to what the opportunities look like as a national team player?
Yeah, so I think especially here in Canada, because up until this year there was no professional environment, and so as athletes we found that this is going to be general, but Canadians only cared about us once every 2 years. You know what I mean? They only cared about our sport. They only followed our sport once every 2 years because it was a World Cup or an Olympics, and that was it. And young girls, you know, unfortunately, the way it is, if you weren't from Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, for the most part, like, you never got to see us play because, unfortunately, we don't go to play in small markets. And so a lot of these young girls never got to see their national team heroes play. The difference with pro is you create passion. These young kids, these families can come week in, week out. There's open training sessions. You know, especially in Portland, the connection with community it was very unique. I mean, averaging like 20,000 fans a game, like from the get-go. It's absolutely insane. But these young kids, that's what they grow up now just believing that, well, I'm going to play for the Portland Thorns. And for the longest time, you know, obviously being from Vancouver, no young kid could be like, well, I'm going to play for the Vancouver Rise because it didn't exist. And I think that ultimately ends, I mean, we're going to talk about ends to like girls dropping out because they can't see themselves playing it.
Okay, well, let's continue that. So we often talk about the leaky pipeline in sport. We know that girls drop out at far too great a rate and vastly more than boys do as well. But it means that by their mid-teens, most girls who were in sport have already left. So that not only impacts their futures, it impacts, of course, the pipeline of athletes for the high performance and elite space. It also impacts the pipeline for coaches and refs and all sorts of other sport leadership roles. So what do you think is needed beyond the opportunities on the field to truly link the girls' grassroots game to sustainable careers and to that professional space? Like, what kind of intention? We can't just assume that happens, right? So
No.
what are some of the things that we should be thinking about?
Oh, I wish we had like an hour because like there's so many things popping in my head. But I think first and foremost, there needs to be a cultural shift. I have an older brother, and you know we grew up playing sports together, and it just seems like it's okay for young boys to just play sports. And even if they're really bad. Like, it's cool that they're in the backyard playing, or they're on like a bronze level team, but like they're men and they're boys, they should be playing sports. But for young girls, if you're not the top of the top, in a way, it's almost like culturally not okay at this point to just play because you love the sport. And as a result, if you're not the top of the top, you end up dropping out. And then that relates back to, like, you need to see it to believe it, because it is more than just the athletes. Because very few athletes actually make national teams or professional environments, but there's so many different career paths and opportunities that, like, sports offers up, whether it's in broadcasting, the medical side, coaching, Lord help them, the referees. Like, there's so many different, I don't know, journeys that you can take. But if you can't sit there every weekend and turn on your TV or go to the local stadium and watch, you dream of being other things.
You know, you talked about being a 4-year-old and just you playing for the fun of it. And that, I think, really speaks to what you were just talking about, like that culture of just doing things that make you feel good, where you feel good in your body or with friends, you're enjoying it, you're learning new skills. And you have that culture of encouragement and support to be there.
I mean, that's what I had growing up. Like, thank God for my parents, because, I mean, other people were telling me, like, when they'd ask, oh, what do you want to be? And I'd be like, well, I want to play sports. And they're like, okay, but what do you really want to be? Or what real job do you want? Mm-hmm. You know, my parents were so supportive. They just let me play. Like, and they knew it's what I loved to do, and they knew it was my passion, and they just wanted me to be happy. But not every kid has that same support system.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. One of the things that I'm most excited about with the development of professional sports is the culture shift that I really hope will come from this, when the media and when brands shine their spotlight on women's sports. They tell Canadians, this is valuable, this matters, this is something worth caring about. And then brands then tell those stories to their audiences. This matters. This, you know, just the culture of respect that I hope really emerges as a result of that. I hope really generates, just fuels that culture that you're talking about, where girls feel like, oh, this is something that other people believe is important, because I do, but now I'm getting that feedback from other people too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just with the way society is with social media, and, you know, if you can hook, I mean, young kids are hooked on these devices. Like, if you can hook them and have access to them at a young age, you create lifelong fans. You create lifelong, like, pride and passion in the sport. And, you know, maybe you create a future superstar, but ultimately that's not what it's all about. It's creating a society and a culture where women's sports are just as accepted as their male counterparts. And we can influence these young ones so easily. It's like, we got to get them when they're young.
Okay, so this is a vision I think we can all get behind. Always a question of how we get there, right? Like, how do we move the needle beyond where it's already we've gotten to already? So you have been driving change from so many different angles, as a player, as an advocate, an activist, as a leader, and now as a team owner. Really, really putting your money where your mouth is. So where do you see the biggest leverage points in the sports system to really accelerate the kind of change that we're talking about and drive that long-term growth? Where would you really want to see people leaning in?
I mean, I think my first thought is where I leaned into, and that's like your professional leagues and your professional teams and the investment and support and structure within those, because that allows accessibility for everyone else. You know, these young kids to be able to go watch every week, to turn on TV, to have the brands supporting them that these kids already love. And so you create a culture where women's sports is just a part of it. But with that, I think especially here in Canada, and obviously soccer is my background, what is missing at the top of the top is like those mid-sized like stadiums, because you look at where the NSL teams are playing, and quite frankly, it's less than ideal. I mean, I played in the NWSL when it started, and that league had the same challenges that the NSL is having now. This country just does not have those mid-sized stadiums that, between 10, 15,000 that fans want to come watch, the players want to play in. So that's like big picture change. And then, investing in the kids, but the pathways for the kids, and whether that is like academies within professional teams, environments, but you have to create environments where these young kids feel seen, feel valued, feel happy and joyful. So that also includes investing in the infrastructure, investing in coaches, investing in support systems that create positive moments for these kids. Because if it isn't, they will drop out. So it's like twofold, and you got to start at the top and the bottom to figure out the middle.
Yeah, well said. That can be really overwhelming, I'm sure, for a lot of people too. Yeah. So how do you, what's really motivating you these days? What's encouraging you forward?
I think what's encouraging me is the launch of the NSL and seeing the support that this league has received across this country. And I'm so proud to be able to turn on the TV and you can see these games. You turn on the sports centers and TSNs and you see highlights of the games. This is life-changing for kids. And being in Vancouver, nothing makes me more proud than to, walk down the street and see kids not at a game, but just in a Rise jersey. And it's this is what I'm talking about. These kids are no longer dreaming of being Roberto Alomar. They're dreaming of playing for the Rise or the national team. And that's, I don't know, for a lot of the players on the national team that were around, for a long time, this has been the goal. But now we have to keep it going.
Okay, we got to wrap it up, folks. Oh, I just got the 0. I got the 0 minutes.
I got buzzed. I don't know about you, but...
Okay, I'm going to borrow a few minutes from your table conversations just to say...
Sorry, you're not making candles today.
Yeah, no candles for you. You've been a part of a lot of moments in history. What I find so neat about this moment for myself, I'll speak for myself, is that we are literally living history right now. We'll be looking back on this probably not all that far into the future and say, this is a moment when it all changed. Mm-hmm. Seeing the shift in the media, seeing the shift in the culture, seeing the shift in the role models. We are living this wild moment in history. It's so neat to be part of. It's so lovely to be in conversation with you about it. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Yeah.
This is cool.
You're going to get to hear more from Christine very soon on the main stage. Before we unleash you and your creativity on the table, I just want to say, we're so committed to being part of this movement. We've been so proud to be part of this movement and to supporting the folks like you and others who are actually out there really doing the work and moving the needle forward. We do have some more research coming out because we know just how powerful the data is. We've heard that throughout the day's conversation. It really helps to move conversations forward and often move minds forward in the process. So we have our next iteration of our It's Time research coming out this fall. We're doing it in collaboration with Wasserman and the Collective, supported, like most things, by Canadian Tire. They've been a great champion of this. And so we are going to be building on our foundational research around the business case, because it has to be a business case for women's professional sport in this country. And really with a mind of providing, yes, data, but also an investment blueprint to support decision makers within brands, because we know that the sponsors, we know that the brands are so pivotal to this ecosystem, so pivotal to this movement, to really help them, let's be honest, make better decisions, right? And that better decision points them straight towards women's professional sport. And not just women's professional sport, but all of women's sport, the entire pathway. So more to come on this very soon. We'll make sure that it reaches all of you when it's ready early this fall. And now we get to continue the conversation with your table mates. So I hope you'll introduce yourselves if you don't already know one another. And we've provided a couple of prompts for you at your tables so that if for some reason you are lacking in things to talk about with one another, you can lean on these questions, which I think are up there. So really casting your mind into the future. We can often talk about what's not working. We don't want this anymore. But sometimes it's harder to reach for what does the ideal state look like? How do we move towards that? And then what do you see as the levers or the untapped potential to really accelerate change towards that vision? But listen, talk about whatever you want, wherever the conversation leads you. We hope it's a good one.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.